He invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. He wants to hang out with you next week, and I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. It's a scary thing because you'll feel like some hands are on you, and you lose a little bit of control of what you're doing, but if you stay with it, you'll be inhabited. As far as me harming somebody, anybody that knows me, I really can't harm a fly. It's completely against my spirit.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard. Usher. Usher's a gusher.
So Terrence Howard just made some bombshell allegations about Diddy, industry parties, and what really goes down behind closed doors. And he didn't just hint at it, he straight up claimed that Diddy tried to smash. But Terrence didn't just talk about himself. He also co-signed rumors about other celebs who partied with Diddy, saying they're all now messed up or addicted to substances because they got things done to them at those FO parties that they can never recover from. And it doesn't stop there. Terrence's claims are shaking up Hollywood, especially when he went on to share how he stood his ground against these predators, losing major opportunities in the process. But while Terrence is out here claiming he wants to expose the industry, the question is Terrence telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Or is he just covering up his own messy past? Let's break this down.
I've lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man.
So in case you missed it, Terrence pulled up to the PBD podcast for a spicy interview that dropped Friday, April 3rd. And while talking with host Patrick Bet-David, Terrence spilled on how some famous men gave up their man card and how certain women in the industry allegedly traded their souls for an Oscar. And according to Terrence, once you agree to certain things at those industry parties, honey, there's no coming back.
But when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through.
And then Terrence took it up a notch and claimed this is exactly what went down with all those celebs who hit up Diddy's parties.
That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
And when Patrick Bet-David brought up names like Justin Bieber, hinting they might have been Diddy's victims, Terrence co-signed it, saying you can see these folks are still dealing with the trauma from whatever went down at those parties.
So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal.
Now, one thing that didn't sit right with a lot of fans is how Terrence made it sound like all these people who might have been victimized by Diddy just chose to give up their man card. At least for Justin Bieber, we know this is not the case because he was only 14 or 15 when Usher and his team basically handed him over to Diddy. So it's wild to act like Justin made that choice himself.
Where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. He signed to Usher.
But let's get back to Terrence, because he dropped another bomb, claiming that Diddy actually made a move on him and tried to smash. According to Terrence, Diddy first tried to pull him in under the pretense of needing an acting coach, and then he later showed interest in his music. But when Terrence's assistant warned him Diddy had other motives, Terrence claims he cut all ties immediately.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music, and he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication.
Terrence also claimed that Diddy wasn't the only one, and he had run-ins with other producers who came at him with indecent proposals. But Terrence claimed he peeped the game early and figured out how to shut that mess down with the quickness.
Number of producers coming to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room.
According to Terrence, keeping that no-nonsense energy cost him a lot of big opportunities in the game, just because he refused to bend over, both figuratively and literally.
I've lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that. Because the man card means everything.
Now, as you can imagine, social media went crazy after Terrence's interview blew up, mainly because he's the first major celeb to straight up say Diddy tried to smash. There were some others who hinted at stuff, like 50 Cent saying Diddy tried to take him shopping, or Cat Williams claiming he had to tell Diddy no, but Terrence really didn't hold back at all and made it clear this kind of thing goes down a lot in the industry. But that said, not everyone's taking Terrence super seriously. See, he's got a bit of a reputation for going on these bizarre rants and saying some unhinged things, like how he plans to build his own Atlantis because he's sick of real scientists not taking him seriously.
That's what the patents are for, and that's why I'm looking at the resistance like, oh, you guys don't want to be a part of the future. Okay, then we'll build our own breakaway society, and we will use this technology and become the new Atlanteans. Or Numerians, because it has happened before. There were particular villages that were still using stones and rocks, and there were other civilizations that had 200,000 years ago that had, greater technology than we have today. And I think that's what's about to take place. I'm done trying to convince the world because the evidence is there.
Terrence also has a history of lying about his education, like claiming he's an engineer when he never actually finished the degree. And on top of that, he's been out here pushing wild pseudoscience that actual scientists have already debunked.
It's titled 1 × 1 = 2.
1 × 1 = 2.
So I lead off by saying, this is an ambitious work that is a clear indication of a restless, active mind. It can never occur that the square root of a given number, when added to itself, is greater than the initial number squared, for that would expose a loose thread within the fabric of our understanding. That's a bold statement. So then I just say, this opening thesis is false. There are plenty of examples of this that have escaped your attention. His statement is shown to be false for every number that's less than 1 and greater than 0. For example, the square root of 0.64 is 0.8. 0.8 is bigger than 0.64, and it's a larger number than the original. And 0.64 squared equals 0.4096, a smaller number than the original. To the extent that the next 35 pages depends on your stated thesis, This fact undermines your claims and assumptions and conclusions. It's not about feelings here. It's about objective reality.
So this whole thing with Terrence trying to redefine math and physics is a classic case of delusions of grandeur. Instead of learning the basics and building from real science, Terrence is out here bashing the whole system like he knows better. The ego is wild, and honestly, it's only setting him up for a life full of failed ideas and frustration. Now, it's also true that we're living in this weird era of anti-intellectual vibes, where anybody with a platform and some confidence can say, "I've done my research," and spit pure nonsense, and folks will eat it up just because it sounds smart. But anyway, while Terrence might be way off when it comes to science talk, when it comes to the industry tea, especially the stuff he said about Diddy, it's not hard to believe. I mean, Terrence is a Hollywood vet. He's been in those rooms and seen some things. And considering everything we know now about Diddy, what Terrence described actually sounds real on brand for him. But let's not forget, there is another side to all this. While Terrence stays loud about man cards and integrity, some folks think he's just using that talk to distract from his own messy past. See, Terrence loves to preach about morals and integrity, but if putting hands on a woman counts as integrity to him, then that says a lot, because that's something he did. And that's one thing he and Diddy have in common. Now, you've probably seen Terrence crying foul about Hollywood trying to blacklist him or cut his check short. But word on the street is there's more to the story. People are saying he's stirring up all this drama about being treated unfairly to shift focus from his own dirt, like his bad temper and those rumors about him being linked to Diddy's parties. So first, Terrence claimed it's all part of a bigger plot to emasculate him, saying Hollywood's out to silence strong men. And in one recent interview, he even claimed that the more successful men are now the effeminate. But if that's really the case, how come Denzel Washington, Samuel L. Jackson, and Morgan Freeman are still the highest paid black actors in the game? You wouldn't exactly describe them as effeminate, so yeah, that math isn't math in Terrence. So now folks are starting to say maybe Terrence is just using Hollywood as a scapegoat for his own mess. See, Terrence has been moving shady way before all this blacklisted talk even started. Way back in 2001, he caught serious backlash after getting arrested for putting hands on his first wife. Then in 2011, his second wife, Michelle Gant, filed a restraining order and accused him of DV. And get this, Terrence didn't even try to deny it. He admitted to being aggressive with her and barely showed any remorse for it. Terrence told Rolling Stone in 2015, "She was talking to me real strong, and I lost my mind and slapped her in front of the kids." But jump to a different interview with E.T., and Terrence tried to flip the script, saying everybody who really knows him would swear he couldn't hurt a fly because it's against his spirit.
We're divorced now, and she should stay that way. And I just wish the best for her. But as far as me harming somebody, anybody that knows me, I really can't harm a fly. You know, it's completely against my spirit. But I'm so heartbroken that you can see that doing it on a night like this is only for an attempt to try and hurt me.
So which one is it, Terrence? You slapped her in front of the kids because she talked too strong, or it's really against your spirit to hurt a fly? Oh, and let's not forget, Terrence also defended Chris Brown when he put hands on Rihanna. He said, "It's just life, man. Chris is a great guy. He'll be all right. And Rihanna knows he loves her. She'll be all right. Just everybody's got to get out of their way." Now, despite Terrence claiming he couldn't hurt a fly, multiple people who've worked closely with him say he's actually capable of way more than that. In fact, his anger issues were reportedly the main reason Don Cheadle took his spot in Iron Man. One former associate who worked on the set told the New York Post, "I don't think anger issues quite covers it. Terrence has got to be in control of everything all the time. When he doesn't get his way, he loses his ish very easily." And this isn't just a one-off. Terrence has a long, well-documented track record of getting physical over the smallest things. Back in 1997, people reported that Terrence attacked a flight attendant who tried to get him back in his seat when the seatbelt light came on. Then in 2005, he pled guilty to disorderly conduct after getting physical with both a man and a woman at a Philly restaurant after she accused him of cutting the line. Then in 2011, a voicemail dropped where Terrence straight up threatened to unalive a fan, all because he mistakenly thought the fan was trying to flirt with his wife. Radar Online reported that Terrence called the fan and said, "N-word. This is Terrence. You you've been calling my wife. If you call my wife again, I'm gonna come to your house and I'm going to cut your effing throat. Understand that. I'm gonna tell you this one time. You call my wife again, I'm gonna kill you. But wait, things get even wilder. Terrence's third ex, Mira Pak, opened up about their marriage before divorcing him in 2015 in an interview with Rolling Stone. And the way she described it honestly makes Terrence sound like some narcissistic cult leader. Mira said, "He's not perfect, doesn't do the dishes, doesn't cook, doesn't lift a finger. I probably leave him 30 times a month. He's so selfish. We don't have a normal life. In our 2 years together, I've only gone to restaurants with him 2 or 3 times. We've never been to the supermarket together. We've never been to the movies. I've never gotten a gift from him. Never, never. I've developed a slight form of agoraphobia lately. I never go out. I have no friends here. I feel like Rapunzel, stuck in a penthouse with my baby." So let's break this down. Treating your wife like a maid, cutting her off from all her friends and family, never showing affection, yeah, that's textbook narcissism. But hold up, there's more. In another wild interview, Terrence actually tried to blame women's outfits for men not being able to control themselves. He said women who dress provocatively create a response in him that he can't respond to in a natural way. So yeah, looks like Terrence and Diddy have a lot more in common than Terrence is letting on. Now, does that mean Terrence is lying that Diddy tried to smash? Probably not. I mean, Diddy most likely tried it with every man in the industry he found attractive. Plus, there are actual photos of Terrence and Diddy partying together. So it's likely Terrence isn't lying about Diddy shooting his shot. But whether Terrence really said no to Diddy's parties or if he's trying to cover up his tracks and distract from his own mess, well, that's up for you to decide. So let me know, what's your take on Terrence's story about Diddy? Do you think he's telling the whole truth about what went down? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't miss out on this next video.